Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin Raymond.
Peace and blessings, love and light, and welcome to this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, holistic nutritionist, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And if this is your first time joining us here on the How Now podcast, welcome to the show. Please be sure to go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com. Pick your favorite podcast platform and be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can also scroll to the bottom of the page and click on the banner for this week's show, and it'll take you to the How Now YouTube channel, where you can like, follow, share, and subscribe there as well, and also check out some of my playlists like Tuesday, where I give a scripture verse every week. And you can also find out what's going on in my now. Be sure to click the notification bell so you always know what's happening. And again, that's www.hownowpodcast.com. Now, for those of you who have been following for several weeks, I have been doing a lot of Rewind Wednesdays in preparation for my 365 challenge that I'm going to be doing at the beginning of 2025. And that's going to be where we're going to be challenging each other and be holding each other accountable for making sure that we tap into our mental, physical, and spiritual toolboxes so that way we know how to respond as opposed to react to things that are going on in our lives. You know that there have been a lot of changes that are going to be taking place going into the new year, and we want to be prepared. And so that's where the challenge comes in, to make sure that we're feeding every aspect of our being, mind, body, and spirit. And so this evening's show is a rewind Wednesday of a show that we did back in 2022 with Althea Lawton-Thompson. And the show was entitled Living Life Limitlessly, where she talks about self-care and being able to live a balanced lifestyle. And that's right in alignment with what we're going to be doing for the 365 challenge. So it was a great show back then. There are still some nuggets and things that she's talking about that are still as relevant today as they were when we did the show 2 years ago. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And until I see you the next time, I say peace. The one thing that we've been talking about this year is our wellness journey. And tonight's show is no exception. And we have a wonderful guest who is going to talk to us about living life limitlessly and talk about the importance of self-care and things that we can do to be able to expand on that and to really manifest what it is that we're looking to do in our lives. So, of course, as is customary with the How Now podcast, I'm going to have my guest to introduce herself at this time.
Thank you so much, Kim, for having me.
Absolutely.
My name is Althea Lawton-Thompson, and I'm going to start with just saying what Althea means. My mother gave me the name Althea, and when I grew up and learned what the name meant, I asked her, "Why did you name me that?" She said, "I have no idea. It just sounded pretty. It came out of nowhere." And I found out that the name Althea means healing or the cure. It comes from Greek, and there are also plants that are known as the Althea plant. One of the hibiscus plants that's used for healing is the Althea plant. Marshmallow, which has healing properties, is Althea. So I do all forms of holistic healing. Anything from working one-on-one with Reiki, crystals, essential oil therapy, yoga, Pilates, even psychospiritual talk therapy and traditional psychoanalysis, all the way to group travel all around the world where we connect with nature, ourselves, and the spirit world. So anything that's considered holistic healing, it fits within aerobics, yoga, and more fitness, which is my corporate wellness company, or the Living Life Limitlessly Althea retreats.
I love it. I love it. And like I said, I've had the opportunity to attend two of your classes, and have had the opportunity to enroll in one of your courses through your Living Life Limitlessly University.
I'm so excited that you're in that course. That course is amazing. The people who are in it are fun. So hopefully you're enjoying it too.
I really am. I really am. And I mean, it's just wonderful, that you've been given the name that you've been given. And I mean, it's so fitting, or so befitting to what it is that you do, and even though your mom says that, I didn't, I don't know why I chose that name. It was ordained for you to have
exactly.
that name.
I totally agree. So we won't be doing any name changes over here. Let's stick with Althea.
That's it. That's it. And I love it. I love all that it is that you're doing. So, of course, we talk about the pandemic because that was such a pivotal point. That was a point where we really started hearing about self-care and empathy. And we started hearing all of these buzzwords that were coming up because people were just not sure of exactly where they were. We were so engrossed in the busyness of life, and being able to suppress certain things in our life or certain aspects of our life because we were too busy with work and too busy trying to be a part of this rat race. And then all of a sudden, when everything slowed down and we had to halt and we really had to sit with ourselves, then we started hearing more about retreats, and we started hearing more about self-care, and we started hearing about all of these things. But you were doing these things prior to that. What started you on that wellness track, many years ago prior to
It's really interesting, Kim, when I think about it, because like you said, most people are new to some things that are termed holistic wellness. But both of my parents were competitive distance runners. So from the age of 5 or 6, I was always going to road races on Saturdays and Sundays when other people were getting up late and watching cartoons or Sesame Street or whatever it was. We were up at 4 o'clock in the morning to pack into a van and drive to some city far away so that my father could run a marathon or my mother could do a half marathon. My parents were always taking vitamins, drinking fresh squeezed juice. For a while, we were vegetarian. And if we were eating meat, it had to be particular kinds of meat. My father was always getting massage. They were always stretching. So it wasn't until later in life that I learned that everyone didn't live that way, that we were kind of unique and it just wasn't normal. When I went to college, I used to jog on the campus just because I thought that's what everyone did. That's how I grew up. You jog as a way of connecting. It was like prayer. I guess it was a form of meditation. You did it by yourself or you did it with 1 or 2 other people. And when people started pointing out to me, why are you jogging? Are you on the track team? Do you run for the school? No, like I'm jogging because it's night and it's the end of the day. And this is the way I kind of spend time with myself. Wellness has always been my life. When I graduated from college, I went to work full time as a financial executive for GE in their financial services department. And as soon as work would end, I'd go home and change my clothes and go jogging. All I wanted to do was exercise. All I wanted to do was go to the gym. So I scheduled my work schedule around my fitness schedule. All my friends were from the gym. And when I was laid off and offered a severance package in 1996, I did not hesitate to go and launch my fitness business. And I never looked back. I have not been back to work for someone since 1996. So I understand why people are making the move now and the great resignation to step away and find their passions, because it changes how you do your work. And that was my road to wellness.
Oh my goodness. And you see everybody's trajectory into fitness or wellness, like you said, is a different story.
Completely different.
And yours started so many years ago. And just like you said, it was normal for you, And I think about myself as a youngster, and all we did was go outside and play. And what I remember is going to a neighbor's house and going to the side house and paying 10 cents for an icy, and going to the corner store and getting chips. And I can tell you every candy. No, man.
Well, now let's not get it twisted. We were doing the same thing at our house. It was Pringles, Ding Dongs, Oreos, and Doritos. Those were my favorite, my 4 favorite snacks as a little child. My mother is here visiting with me, and she brought a bag of Oreos. I'm like, what are we doing? That is not what I'm doing at 51. Maybe at 5, but why are we doing that right now?
Right.
So it was like healthy with snacks, and we weren't rigid like that. I think people now, when they say they're vegetarian, they're vegan, they're like, oh my God, I can't have cheese. Are there eggs in that? Did that touch the shrimp? We weren't like that. It just was like you were healthy, and then you enjoyed eating snacks.
Right. But you learned balance. You learned that balance years and years ago. You learned that it was important also to exercise and to stretch your body, but you also understood that that food was fuel, but you also understood that every
you can have fun with it too.
A little bit of fun. Yes. And so I love that, and so like you said, this was your lifestyle. Now we're both the same age. And so, it's amazing how the parallels are. My dad was he was in the military, so he would run and jog, just as
that
a
same regimen.
Right, a regiment for him. My mom was, she was a housewife, and she cooked and we ate. And my grandmother lived around the corner, and she cooked and we ate, and that's what we did. But it's just interesting, how the things that are part of your environment shape you into the person that you really do as you get older. And so, like you said, for some, it's been their lifestyle. That's all that they've known. And then there are those of us who are new to this experience. So let's go to where this pandemic hit, and where people just really started saying, oh my goodness, I'm sure there was an influx in your business of people who were beginning to come to you and saying, hey,
Yeah, yes and no. 2020 was hard for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And the way that my business was structured at that time, this would be pivot number 4 or 5 for my business. If you've been in business for a long time, you've had some pivots, and this was really major. So people were not calling right away, and it wasn't around health and wellness. It was around mental health and wellness that I started picking up clients. So if we go to just the fitness wellness side, I actually lost all clients because everything was in person.
Right.
Nothing was being done virtually. I mean, now we're doing Zoom.
Right.
Now we're, everybody's doing podcasts. Yeah, but that just didn't exist. I didn't have an online platform at that time. Living Life I can't say my own company. Living Life Limitlessly University didn't exist at that time. So I think when we talk about pivots, changes, and meeting clients where they are, it was having to totally reprogram and shift Zumba, boot camp, all of these things that people are used to doing together in person in a class to, I'm having a hard time adjusting to being with me all the time. I just realized I don't like my spouse. I'm living at home with this person, and now we're all together. I'm having a hard time as a single mother with 5 kids. My kids are all different ages, and we're trying to figure out how to homeschool. That's what was happening. And when people realized that they needed a real person to talk to, who might look like them and speak their same language and have some of the same background that they did, and could also approach therapy and mental wellness from a spiritual perspective, not religious, but a spiritual perspective, considering what was happening, that was where the clients began coming in. And I had to let go of all of the corporate clients we had. All of the in-person classes were gone. even the one-on-ones, because I would work with people one-on-one here at my sanctuary. I just had a smaller room upstairs, doing Zooms one-on-one with people, able to reach people where they were. Right. So starting to pick up people in other countries and other states and cities. So I think there are benefits to the quarantine. I won't say benefits to COVID, but there were definitely benefits to the quarantine and people being still, to your point of how now. Now we have no choice but to be still, right? And to check in, because I'm not well, not only in my body, but I'm not well with the way I'm thinking and how I'm feeling in my heart. And I think it was a beautiful change for a lot of people to make their mental wellness, physical wellness, and emotional wellness a priority.
Right. And to see that there was actually a connection.
For
because
sure.
some people were not making that connection
at all.
You know, and just saying, you know, my physical health, I'm just focusing on my body and not realizing how much of a mental thing that is too. And I know we were talking a little bit, you know, prior to the show about, you know, the mental changes that takes place. You know, I've had some changes in my physical body, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting me mentally, you know, to go through this process and the preparation, you know, because we have things that happen and we just think that, you know, the solution is just a quick fix, or it's just, okay, I've got some issues with my body, I'm just going to exercise my body. But we don't think what happens when we get to our goal. Yeah. Or what happens when we start to see those changes and they start to manifest
ready to
themselves.
Really accept that this
Correct.
is who I am. This is what I look like.
Correct.
Right?
And then like even people who have maybe have had gastric bypass surgery, or they've had some type of surgery, and you hear that they said they've had to go through a psychological, and you're like, well, what do they have to go through a psychological for? Lose weight.
There's a reason.
And you'll find out.
There's a reason.
Because there is a whole shift that takes place. There's a whole mental shift that takes place. Some of the things that you know, you begin to question a lot of the things that you do.
That's
and
right.
How you do them and why you do them. You know,
that's exactly right.
You hear a lot of people start to talk about, oh, well, you know, what's my why? You know, we've never said that before. You know, why? Because, you know, I need to fit into this dress by next week. So that's why I'm losing weight. You know, now you hear people saying, well, my why is because I want to be around for my family. I want to be able to effectively fight off and save off disease and things like that.
Absolutely.
You're hearing the narrative change. And so that's something that's so profound and that's so different.
Very powerful.
So yeah.
And when we were talking before the show about you getting used to the new you, the new physical you, and accepting that, right? I said to you, and I want to say to your listeners, this is another part of being present in the now.
Yes.
We get so attached to the past, who we were.
That's right.
20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago,
that's right.
5 years ago, 5 weeks ago, that it's hard to accept I'm somebody different than I was 5 hours ago.
Right. That's right.
Who I was last month is not who I am now.
Wow.
And it's okay to be this person right now, be right where I am,
right.
And decide, what am I going to do with the Kim now, with the Althea now? Don't worry about 5, 10, 15 years from now. What are we going to do with this second? Because this is all that we have.
All that we have.
So when I put this outfit on, how does it fit today? If it fits tight, I got to take this joker off, go find something that's a little more loose. Right. And then talk to myself about, what do I want next? Right. Let me do something now.
That's right.
To change tomorrow. I can't change tomorrow. I have to change tomorrow in this second.
That's right.
I can't worry about last week. I can only worry about now.
That's right.
So if you should be celebrating right now, wow, this fits like this and I like the way it looks.
Right.
Don't worry about a number. The number on the scale means nothing. Don't worry about the number in the tag. It means nothing. When I look at myself, do I like the way it looks? That's what it is in this moment. Let's go.
That's right. I love it. I love it. And
Let's
that's
go.
what we have to do, because we especially some women, we tend to be defined by the roles that we play.
No doubt.
You know? And, because when you ask somebody, oh well, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm this, I'm that. We never lead off with us as an individual or things
That's
that
right.
personally like. We tend to lead off with that whole idea of, well, let me give you the little list of the things that I am for other people.
Yeah. Titles, labels, roles.
Absolutely. And that's what we're stuck in. And then we get stuck, in what people think.
Oh gosh, stop right there. Stop right there. Don't say nothing, Kim. Stop right there. We're in now.
That's right.
You said a word right there. We get stuck in worrying about what other people think.
Right.
Shh. Let that sit with your listeners for a moment. Whew. I personally can tell you that I have held back on doing things I should have done a long time ago, worrying about what other people would think.
Absolutely.
Held back on going places that I wanted to go, worrying about what other people would think.
Right.
Held back on wearing what I wanted to wear, saying what I wanted to say, being who I wanted to be, worrying about what other people would think. But I want to tell you something that happened. I have spiritual gifts. We all have spiritual gifts. Not everybody's in tune with them, but many of us are. One of my spiritual gifts is that I hear very clearly, clairaudiently, messages from the spirit realm. And one day I was hesitating on telling people about my spiritual gifts. And the spirit world came to me very clearly, whether people want to call this God or Allah, Jah, Jehovah, Jesus, Muhammad, Allah, any name they want to give to it. The spirit world came to me and said, when are you going to start caring more about what we told you to do than what some human people told you to do? Are you going to let some lady that doesn't even live with you, doesn't pay your bills, doesn't manage anything in your household, control the gifts that we gave you and what we told you to do with them? And when I heard that message clear as day, Living Life Limitlessly University, chakra healing, metaphysical gifts, traveling to Indonesia, South Africa, Costa Rica, Peru, doing plant medicines like ayahuasca, psilocybin mushroom, iboga, things that people say are taboo. Oh, don't talk about that. Spirituality, what? Don't say God. This is what the spirit told me to do. At some point, we have got to get past worrying about what someone else thinks and show up the way we were put here to show up, to do what we're supposed to do in this moment.
That's right.
And that's all I got to say about that.
And you've just said a word, and I hope that everybody was listening, because that's what we do. We limit ourselves by putting ourselves in a box. We're putting ourselves in a box instead of, we're supposed to be creating the parameters in which we choose to live. And we don't do that. We're too concerned. I tell people in a heartbeat, I said, when I roll over in the bed, I don't see none of y'all there.
Not one.
Not
one
near
of
one of y'all. Not near one of
Mm-mm.
y'all. Now I see Mr. Raymond. That's about it. I said, but everybody else, I'm like, I don't see. No, I said, I have a nice California king size bed, but I don't see none of y'all in there.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about that. But when we think about that, well, what is somebody going to think? Well, I've lost this weight and nobody has said anything about, about me losing this weight, and I don't see it. And but or they don't see it, and they're not giving me my flowers.
That's truth.
Do
That's
you
real.
feel it? Do you see it? Do you like the way this outfit fits? Just like you said, do you like the way this shirt fits? Do you like the way you feel in it? And when you start to embrace that,
Everybody sees it.
they do.
Everyone feels it.
Yes.
It just
Yes.
is, because you are magnetizing what you're giving out.
That's
And you're
right.
giving out this joy.
That's
You're
right.
giving out this confidence.
Yes.
Confidence is the sexiest thing a person can wear. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. So when you embrace what this is today, right now, this second, all this
Okay.
beautiful gray hair,
Okay.
starting at 33, all of this right here, like I'm not dying nothing for nothing. My mother
Right.
said to me, could you please dye your hair? You're making me look old. You know what? That's your story. This is wisdom. This
Okay.
is life. This is,
Okay.
I embrace it. And so other people embrace it.
That's it.
Wow, your hair looks beautiful. Yeah, it looks beautiful to them because it looks beautiful to me first.
That's right.
If I was uncomfortable with it,
Right.
it would not look good to other people.
People, oh, this is a word. I hope you all are here. This is a word. And this is the space that we need to be in. You know, we you know, when we talk about that self-care, when we talk about, you know, trying to determine what it is that we need to do to find our own joy. You know, I always talk about being able to cope, to create our peaceful existence. That's the acronym for cope. Create our peaceful existence. What are we doing to create our own peaceful existence? What is bringing me joy? You know, and you know, we always say, oh, well, you know, I'm happy if you're happy.
Not always.
Yeah. A little bit, you know. But yes, I mean, as nurturers, yes, we want to bring joy to people. But I'm all about, if we're gonna fill, you know, we say we can't pour from an empty cup. We always hear, that you can't pour from an empty cup. But I'm not trying to give you everything that's in the cup either. Okay.
Right.
How do you toast with somebody to your successes in life if your cup is empty and their cup is full?
Right.
You have nothing.
That balance. It's all about balance.
Right. I need my cup to overflow so that I can have some left so that we can toast together. So that we both have something to share, that we both have something to celebrate. Not that I've given you all that I have and now I have nothing left for me. How is that helping me to build my own personal joy? You know, if I've given it.
I do also think that's a growth thing. That sometimes, I won't speak for everyone, sometimes comes with maturity and age and time.
Yes. Yes.
Some of us.
Yeah.
Some people, they just know from the beginning, this is how I'm going to roll, and I'm really comfortable with that. But for the rest of us, it takes some time. Yeah.
Process. It is not something that just falls in your lap. Just like you said, age, wisdom, time, experiences, environment.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about environment, we talk about things like that, I want to talk about the retreats. Because like I said, it's on my bucket list to go on one of your magical retreats. But talk about that, because I know that there are people, you know, for them, it's a defining moment when they have an opportunity to step outside of their current environment and to go someplace else and to experience life outside of the perimeters of their own community.
Well, I'm going to talk about the retreats, first of all, about how it started and why and where the tagline "Living Life Limitlessly" came from.
Awesome.
The studio that you came to that I used to have, I had a studio called Aerobics, Yoga and More, AYM. And you notice I said used to. It closed in 2012.
Okay.
But there was a general manager there with me who was my closest girlfriend, like a sister, and she moved from Maryland to come here and help me run the studio. She left her entire life, all family, had never lived anywhere but Baltimore, Maryland, and came here to help me run that studio. And about a year and a half into the studio being open, about 2 years, she was diagnosed with leukemia. And she had a home about 5 minutes from my house, and she lived there alone. And she stayed in the hospital. When I took her to the hospital on August 4th of 2010, she never came back out. She was in for months. My husband was working in New Jersey, even though we were here in Georgia. So I was running the studio by myself. I was teaching her classes and my classes. I was teaching all the corporate contracts. I was taking care of my 2 children like a single mom because my husband was gone. I was going to the hospital and taking care of her because I didn't want her to be alone. I was taking care of her house, making sure the lawn was cut, the mail was checked, the bills were paid, and doing the same thing for my house. And I was doing it with a smile because why? We don't ever want anyone to see us showing weakness. And over time, I was losing weight. I didn't have time to notice I was losing weight. I was teaching classes and working and picking up and dropping off. And did you do your homework? And let me get you something to eat. And And about a year into it, a friend of mine came to me and said, Althea, I can see you. You are about 5 sizes smaller than you used to be. Your clothes are hanging off of you. You've grayed even more. I think I just want you to come with me for a day. Get some substitutes for your classes, cancel some stuff, get someone else to pick up your kids. You're going to come with me on a hike because that's what I like to do. You know that. So we went to a national park about an hour north of where we lived outside of Atlanta. And we just spent the entire day, late morning to the afternoon, walking trails. I like to swim. So I went swimming in the lake, enjoying the sun, warming myself. And as we were leaving, I saw a lodge on the property. And I was like, my God, I feel revived. I feel like a new woman. I feel like I could go back and conquer the world. Nothing can beat me. And if I could stay in that lodge overnight on this property and wake up with the rising sun over that lake and do that trail one more time, I would go back even 100% better than I feel right now in this second. And that was the start of Althea Retreats. The next year, I hosted my first retreat in the Georgia mountains, an hour and 10 minutes north of where we lived. My sister friend did transition 2 years later. And as we were preparing her for hospice and we were locking up her house and we were talking over old times, she was like, man, Althea, we've done so much. Like, you know, we started this studio and we used to have a TV show together. We made fitness videos together. We flew to Jamaica and taught in Jamaica together. There were so many things we had done, but there was a lot on her bucket list that she didn't do. And she was only 48 years old. And so when she started going through the things that she didn't do, my mind changed. I am not going to work myself to death and wait for retirement. I'm not going to wait for my children to grow up and be independent. I'm not going to wait until my husband can go with me. I'm going to start living my life limitlessly right now. And that's where the tagline came from. And that is why my retreats are no longer just in the Georgia mountains. They're in the Caribbean. They're in Africa. They're in Southeast Asia. They're in Central America. They're in South America. Because I started solo traveling and exploring the world on my own, doing things that scared me. And when I got out there, I realized it really wasn't that scary at all. And so now I take other people so they can get their healing, because they're probably caretakers for spouses or parents or children or siblings, the same way that I was, and they need that healing. And they need it with someone that they can trust. So we fly around the world.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And just like you said, it's just, you know, just to be able to step away, you know, and like you said, it started out just an hour and change away from where you were.
That's right. That's
you
right.
You know, some people are not willing to leap out, you know, internationally, but it's like, even if you can start locally.
And I still have them locally. I do 2 retreats every year in the US, right here in the Georgia mountains. The only year I have missed in 10 years was 2020.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
But it's necessary. It's so
it is.
necessary at some point just to step away, even if it's just to go downtown and stay in a hotel room.
Vacation is
Yes,
powerful.
yes,
An
yes.
Airbnb, just go to another part of the city that you don't know and stay in an Airbnb. Watch what you want to watch, go to sleep when you want to go to sleep, eat what you want to eat, do what you want to do, and then go back home and pick up all your responsibilities again. Because guess what? They're not going anywhere. So they'll still be there when you come back home.
Yes, they will. Amen to that. Yes, they will. They be
Yes, they
sitting right there
will.
like, okay, we waiting on you. Okay, you back? Okay,
You
good.
back? Let's
Welcome
go.
back.
Mhm.
That's it. But it's so necessary for us to be able to be in a space where we're sitting with ourselves and learning to enjoy ourselves. I have a dear friend who is on her way back from Dubai. She
Oh, I
went
knew you were
by
going to say that.
herself for her
Mhm.
birthday. She went to Abu Dhabi and then she went to Dubai and she was out there. I just
Living
watched
her
a
best
video.
life.
She just had a video of her with this beautiful flowing green cape and she's running through the desert and someone is taking her picture. And I'm like, look at her.
This is the time for that, Kim. This
Yes.
is the time.
Yes.
I think everyone listening has probably seen someone's picture or video where they are living their best life out there somewhere doing something. That wasn't the case. Maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we wouldn't have seen people in our age group who are married or single, divorced, widow, whatever, with children living their best life saying, oh, I'm turning 40, I'm gonna go do this. Oh, I'm turning 50, I'm gonna go do this. Oh, I'm turning 60, I'm gonna go do this.
That's
That
right.
was not a thing. I
No,
don't think, unless I just
no,
missed it.
no, because
It
our
just
our
seems new now.
generation, like our generation, we were taught save your money and make sure that you store up your nuts for the winter, all of that good stuff. We made sure that that's what we did. We made sure that it was all about savings and no, you can't miss work. You got to be at work. We work overtime. We're the generation that works overtime and stays
Yeah.
late and doesn't know how to leave the office,
And then proud of it.
Oh, yes.
We compete. Oh
Integrity.
no, honey, I worked harder than you did. No, girl, your week wasn't as bad as mine. Listen to mine. We have got to stop competing on negative things.
Right.
If you want to say you worked harder than me, you right, you did. I'm living my passion and I'm living my
Right.
best life. Let's compete on that. How about that?
Right. And that's so critical to just being able to have that balance. We need that balance. One of your many roles is you're a mind body specialist, realizing that there is that balance that must take place, in order for us, like I said, to have that peaceful existence. And we can't do that if we're not willing to challenge ourselves mentally,
That's it.
challenge ourselves physically, challenge ourselves spiritually. Why?
Absolutely.
We talk about that why question. Why do we believe what we believe?
Where did
Why
it
do we
come
do the
from?
things
Where
that we
did it
do?
come from?
Right,
Mm.
right. And this is an information age. There are so many opportunities for us to learn things through the media, through all of these different technological platforms that have opened the world to us beyond the card catalog that we used to go to at the local library.
Uh-huh.
We're not there anymore. We can tap into anything. We can Google search just about anything.
You can learn how to do anything on YouTube.
Anything, even things that you think, oh, nobody's done that. Somebody somewhere in this
Done it, and
world
they
has
probably
thought.
got a video somewhere
That's
showing you how to do it.
That's right. That's right. And so many opportunities for us to learn and to move. Like I said, the premise of this show has always been moving us from a space of fear to a space of knowledge and information, so that we can get to a space of growth, so we can reach back and help others to be able to move through those cycles themselves. Everything that we do is a process, and it starts with us being fearful at first, but then taking that step to say, okay, I don't know about this, but how can I learn about this? What can I do to learn? How can I grow? How can I, learn more about this process that I'm curious about? And then once I learn and I master it, how can I reach back and help somebody else to do the same? And so that is something that I love about what it is that you're doing in your business, what it is that you're trying to help others to learn, so that way they're in that space of growing as well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just so excited that you've come and you've shared that information with us, that you've shared the importance of retreats, that you shared about self-care and the experiences that you've had, because this helps us to grow. This helps us to learn about the things that we need to do so that we can move forward. And
I appreciate you for having the show, for having the platform, and even inviting me to be on to talk a little bit about my journey. And hopefully something I've said has touched something in your listeners and your watchers, and it'll make a positive change in their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what I do want to do before we go is I always ask my guests how they're living in the now, because everyone has different things that they do, different rituals that they do, different things that they do to help them to create their peaceful existence. And it just gives them an idea. So what are some of the things that you're doing to live in the now?
I have several practices. One of them is meditation. Mm-hmm. And I do like to just sit peacefully, quietly, and not thinking. So I don't go into meditation with music playing or following what somebody says or watching it on a Zoom. It's not a time of prayer where I'm asking for something or discussing something with any spiritual entity. It's a time to literally be quiet, stop thinking, and just be there, be still. And that's really renewing for me. I do have a space in my home that is just for me. I'm in that space now. So everybody knows, don't even try to go in there. Don't knock on the door. Don't call, buzz, ring. If she's in there with the door closed, just walk away. She'll be out when she's ready. I really love time in nature. Mm-hmm. I have created an oasis for myself at my home. Oh,
you're still there.
Let me know when you can hear me.
We can still hear you. We can hear you. You're still fine.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
We could hear you the entire time.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It says that my internet went out and that it was unstable. Sorry about that.
No,
I created an oasis for myself here at my home outside so that I could have a fire pit. I have places where I can go and bury my dreams, like just dig in the ground, write my dreams out, my gratitudes, my appreciation, my learning lessons, and fold them up and bury them in the ground, just like seeds that can grow and blossom. The fire pit is there for fire ceremonies, for burning things that no longer serve me. It's time to let it go. A lot of practices like that. I have altars here in my private room. I have a lot of crystals. I have some in my hand right now as I'm talking, and that really helps me just to wear them, have them around me vibrationally. Essential oil therapy. I have some burning right over here.
I love that.
Does that mean time? Is that us?
No, you're fine.
Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
Fine. You're fine.
But essential oil therapy is really good. And I love taking naps. I will take a nap just because I can.
Yes.
I am really over. Let me feel every moment. Let me feel super productive. Oh, I'm sitting still. I'm not being productive. Child, please, I will lay down and take a nap because my kids are finally grown and I can.
Yes.
I thought I would never sleep again when my kids were younger. Hallelujah, they grew up. So now I
Right. Oh, look, I love a good nap too. Every now and then I'm just like, look, all right, y'all, I'm gonna close this door right now and I'll see you in about 30 minutes, whatever. That's how you said.
That's right.
I'm ready to take that nap. That is beautiful. You've given some wonderful seeds. I love that. I have a fire pit outside as well. And I love my husband built it for me for my 50th birthday.
That's
and
right.
I was like, yes. And so, yes, I
You
will be
better
out
use
there.
it.
Yes. Yes. And so, like you said, those are just beautiful, things that people need to hear, just ideas, because some people just don't know what to do. And so I always make sure that I ask about that. How you're living in now. What are some things that you're doing to create that peace? Is that way?
I'll just let you know my internet is a little unstable, so I don't hear you right now, but I'll let you know when I can.
Oh, okay. We can still hear you fine, and we can still see your beautiful picture there. So we're good. You're still good.
And we're back.
You're still good.
Sorry about that.
Yes. No, honey, you are fine. Well, but like I said, again, before we wrap things up, please tell people how they can get in contact with you. Just
I appreciate
curious.
that. Thank you.
Absolutely. If they're here in the Atlanta area, or if they're curious about, the services that you have, tell them how they can get in contact with you.
I am Althea Lawton-Thompson on all social media platforms. And my website is althealawtonthompson.com. And my retreat website is Althea Retreats, althearetreats.com.
Retreats.com. And yep. And what we'll do is we'll put this in the description of the show when it airs, and people will be able to get in contact with you there. So please make sure althealawtonthompson.com. And then if you're interested in the retreats, it's althearetreats.com. And
I do want to say one more thing, Kim, because you're taking the meditation certification course.
Yes.
LLL University.com. That's Living Life Limitlessly University. People can get certified to teach and lead meditation. And I have the course in English y en español también.